Did you know that cowpeas existed? I didn't. Vegetable tagine, you guys. I hope I pronounced it correctly. This recipe is coming from How Not to Die cookbook. This is my favorite recipe book that I've been using since I became vegan for the second time. The first time I became vegan, I messed up quite significantly with my nutrition. When I told you that I would be able to eat ratatouille all the time, I wasn't joking. I was literally doing that the first time I switched to a plant-based diet, and this was a disaster. So then I decided that I need to cook. It's like a story time, you know? So that's when I decided that I need to find a cookbook that wouldn't be like A Feather of a Dragon, whatever, or Tears of a Virgin. And you just go hunt for those ingredients. So most of the ingredients in this book are pretty much accessible. Well, I wouldn't say all over the world. I would say in Russia, there might be things that are less accessible, but you can also always substitute things. Or for example, the miso paste, I ordered it from iHerb and it was perfectly fine. I still use it to date. If you need a coupon code, by the way, it's down there. And if you use iHerb, you also have your referral code, so use that. It's not some influencer trick, it's just a regular referral program, guys. So there we are with tip number 2 from iHerb. The first one being, you should get a cookbook if you don't know how to cook. If you feel hopeless in the kitchen, just get yourself a good cookbook. And just try to check it out before you buy it. Try to make sure that you have all the ingredients that you need. Whenever I shop for cookbooks, I do see different veganized or plant-based recipes from different kitchens. This can be a good tip for you if you want to start eating more vegetables, more plants, but you don't know if all of the plants and vegetables and whatever, all the good stuff that everyone's talking about, avocados, not everyone has avocados. You know, the other day I was even trying to translate kale into Russian, and no, that's not how it's happening in Russia. So getting a good cookbook is a good way to start off with a vegan diet. So, and now off to the tagine. And well, if you look at the cookbook, the first thing you will notice is that I didn't use chickpeas, I used cowpeas. Do they name peas after animals? Maybe they do. As you will notice, it's not going to be a red recipe. Almost all my favorite dishes are red in color. This one will not be red just because I forgot a tomato paste. So if you do not forget a tomato paste, it's probably also going to be red. And if you replace cowpeas or whatever kind of peas or beans with chickpeas, you'll have chickpea tagine. I didn't have chickpeas, so I just went with whatever I had in the fridge, and I urge you to use whatever you have in the fridge. You don't want to waste food, you want to enjoy food and eat food and improvise. Eat whatever suits you, eat whatever you like. This one also uses the broth recipe that I made in the previous video, so if you like it, please go check it out. So it's going to be mushroomy. I use 2 types of mushrooms. You can pretty much use any kind of mushrooms, but I saw on TikTok that apparently some mushrooms can give you tummy aches when you reheat them, which is pretty weird. I didn't find anything like this on the internet, in the research, nowhere in the research. So if you know anything about it, please leave a link down below. However, was it Stack Exchange? It shouldn't be Stack Overflow, it would be too weird. Whatever, some Stack yada yada website, which was saying that if you cook wild mushrooms and then you reheat them, then you can get food poison. I've been reheating this thing. I used champignon mushrooms and portabello mushrooms, and I was absolutely fine. So here is all the stuff that I use. Those are white button mushrooms or the champignon mushrooms. Those are portabello mushrooms. Based on Food Data Central, a website I really recommend to check out the nutritional value of certain produce that you're curious about. They contain on average 10 international units of vitamin D, which comes in D2 plus D3 form. But don't rely on this too much because they can be ranged between 2 and 31 international units of vitamin D in portabello mushrooms. So go get some sun. Here I use 2 types of mushrooms. You can use 1 type of mushroom. Then you need 1 can of chickpeas. And as you notice, as I already said, I'm not using chickpeas here. I'm using cowpeas. Then you need green beans in around 150 to 300 grams. I went with 300 grams because I like it thick, and to be honest, I just didn't know how much it would be. So yeah, I just got 300 grams. I cooked them all. I didn't regret it. You should be fine. You can also use canned or frozen green beans, of course. They are already pre-cut, so you just need to defrost them a little bit. Mushrooms, if you've cooked mushrooms, you can notice that they shrink quite a lot and they do retain quite a lot of water. In themselves when they are raw. So when you start cooking them, they start giving out water, and whatever you cook with mushrooms starts get watery. So here, when we are going to be adding vegetable broth, it's going to be thick, but then the mushrooms are going to give out the water and you're going to have more liquid inside the tagine, which is why I didn't want to add more water into the tagine when I saw that there is almost no broth compared to the amount of stuff that I put into the pan. And be sure to take a big pan, by the way, because it's going to be quite complicated to cook if you cannot toss it. One more vegetable that we're using is the green pepper, same as red pepper, same as orange pepper, but it's a little less ripe, so a little less sweet. Here we're using the green pepper.
And this time around, we also would add the carrot, actually only 1 carrot, so I just sliced it up. I liked it to look bigger and more distinctive in the final dish.
Also, of course, the aromatic, garlic, onion, ginger. Here I'm using liquid ginger just because I do not know what to do with ginger after I chop off a little bit of it and mince it. So I have liquid ginger. It's easier for me to use. It's up to you. And we'll use some lemon pulp and lemon juice in the end. We'll also use an apricot, a tiny little bit. I took 3 pieces of an apricot, or you can just have some raisins. It's going to add a little bit of sweetness to the dish, which is going to be nice. They're not going to be very noticeable.
And some parsley minced for the freshness. It's going to be added to the dish in the very end.
Onto our spices, and this is going to be the last part. We need some black pepper. With black pepper we need some turmeric because the compounds in black pepper help release the active components of turmeric, which are going to fight inflammation in your body. Pretty cool. We will add cumin, we will add some paprika, and a tiny little bit of cinnamon.
So now on to cooking. We bring around 60 milliliters of water to the boil, and then we add everything from this cup, from this bowl, into the sauce. So those are green peppers, carrots, and onions. We mix it all together and cover and cook for around 5 minutes. And now it's spices time. We just add all our spices all at once. Also, if you have tomato puree, this will be the moment when you add the tomato puree. I just forgot to get it when I was shopping for it. You mix it really well, and then you add the rest of the things together with the broth. And look at how thick the broth is. It's really mushroomy. Do not worry though, as I said, the mushrooms are going to give a lot of water, so we are going to have a more liquid consistency. We add basically the rest of the ingredients at this point. After which we would need to reduce the heat to low. Do not forget to do it. You need to simmer it on the low heat setting. We'll mix it really well. Once again, cover everything and let it sit for around 20 minutes. Oh my god, it looks so good. I really like watching the lid steaming up. It makes me so happy. I don't know, the combination of colors and the heat just looks so good. So after 20 minutes, we're ready to add parsley. We're not going to kill parsley, but it's just going to add some flavor, and it will still have some texture at this point. So mix everything well and cook for 5 more minutes. And after 5 minutes, we're pretty much done.
And now when it's ready, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the process. At least you enjoyed watching me chop. I hope you liked it, and I hope to see you in another video next week. And if you can, remember to eat some greens today. See ya.